Hello and welcome to the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke, ranging from comic books, television, video games, movies, and more. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Daniel.
For those of you joining us for the first time, how our format works is first we talk about some news. This again ranges from comic books, mostly video games with E3 coming up, the movies that we've seen this week, and then we finish up with our comic book pool list and our picks and passes of the week.
And we do have a sponsor this week, ourselves. We are a part of nerdupmedia.com. Head on over to nerdupmedia.com to check out other shows as good, if not better than ours, including Lazy Gaming Guys, The Read Pile, Those Two Jerks, and then of course you can find the link to all of our pages, including Facebook, Twitter, Stitcher, and iTunes. But more on that near the end of the show. We're going to kick off our news with the Phoenix Wright Trilogy. It will be coming to the 3DS eShop this winter. So that's Phoenix Wright 1, 2, and 3, the very first 3 originals that came out in the US.
So smart. It cost them nothing to throw it up on this thing. And everybody who just got the most recent one is probably like, oh man, I want to play those older ones. Really hard to find now.
They are very hard to find. The first one especially, in its original casing and everything. The third one, I think that one is Trials and Tribulations. That one, we never played, but we do own it. Mm-hmm. And now that they're making these available digitally, it fits the new one, which was also a digital-only release. They did release these on the Wii initially, and I think it also came out on iDevices and iPad. You can actually play the Phoenix Wright games on there, but now you can have it on the go with the 3DS.
That's really cool. So smart. We also picked up Mario Kart 8 this week. Finally got a chance to play it, found some time in our busy work schedules. I think we got like 4 hours of sleep a few nights because of this game. But it has been announced that it is the fastest selling Wii U game to date, with 1.2 million units worldwide over its first weekend.
That's not saying a lot because it's a Wii U game. There's not, I mean, aside from maybe Mario Brothers or Super Mario 3D World on the Wii U, I think that might have been the one before this. But Mario Kart 8, a lot of people got it. I'm pretty sure it's still trending on Twitter, just Mario Kart 8. Everyone was talking about it, how much fun it is. It is actually a blast. We were going to talk about it last week, but we actually hadn't gotten a chance to really dig into Mario Kart 8 and play a couple of those Grand Prix courses. But now I think we've cleared almost all the cups, and we can definitely give you an honest review and opinion on the game.
I suck at this game. That's my honest opinion.
You were getting so angry.
I was. The game is a lot of fun. And if you guys listened to the previous podcast, I haven't played it since Mario Kart 64. Way back in the day.
That is that's over 10 years ago, I think.
Now, just don't make me feel that old. Anyway, back in the day, you didn't have to, drift to actually win. Mm-hmm. You didn't have to choose your karts. There weren't different weights and different wheels and different flying apparatuses. And I played against my dad.
And back then it was pick your character and go.
Yep, that was it. Your character came with their own little colored cart that matched them. And that was it. And I kicked ass at that game. So we're playing this one, and the courses where you don't have to drift, I was coming in second and third, which is pretty good. I mean, considering the ones where you have to drift, I'm eighth.
Whereas me, I've been playing every single one thus far. So I've learned ever since Mario Kart DS to drift and do the boost, around those corners. Even though in a straight path, if you're fast enough to do it, you can just straight path drift your way, as a zigzag. Granted, the computer doesn't give a shit. The computer will still rubber band. One green shell will hit you right before the third lap is over and you win the race and you're in first. One green shell will hit you and suddenly the last 5 racers are suddenly in front of you within a second. It's you guys were 100 feet behind me. How the hell did you just get up this far? So that still happens in Mario Kart. It sucks, and it still pisses me off because on something like 150cc, when I'm legitimately ahead of everyone for a long time, and then this one banana peel trips me up, and then suddenly I have 7th place as my finishing thing. It's fuck this game. I get really mad, but then again, it's so much fun. Mm-hmm. It is a blast. The online is smooth. Very smooth to play. You can go on with a second player in the same house. So you can both go online against people. And then it's none of this rubber band AI thing. If you're far ahead, you're going to win. There's no question about it. I was in second place and I was like, how the hell am I in second? I don't see anyone in front of me. The racer that got first was that far ahead, half a track away. Wow. He was that good at the game. And I was like, all right, this is awesome. I hope he hits a banana peel and maybe I get the rubber band catch up.
At least you're only hitting banana peels. I fell off of, like, every cliff you could, what was it, Wario Stadium or whatever?
Yeah.
Where you went sideways and you had to go around that 90-degree turn. I fell off every time, all 3 laps.
It's because you keep choosing the motorbikes. You gotta have a cart. It's called Mario Kart, not Mario motorbiking.
But the motorbike looks like Yoshi, and I play as Yoshi.
So you're going for the aesthetic look to it.
Dan, I'm a woman. Yes, I am.
So really, if anything, like the wheels and the gliding, you're accessorizing. You should be all over this.
But they make me lose.
What do you think about the newer items that they added? Like there's the 8 Mario Kart thing where it's a bunch of items. I think it's 8, and it's like the star, the bullet bill.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's like a
and you
random
like
amount.
use them all.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool. I've only gotten it once,
mm-hmm.
but that was a lot of fun. Some of these are still kind of newish. Like Bullet Bill was never there. Mr. Squid like jizzing all over the screen. He wasn't ever there before.
I think they made their debut in the DS one.
Okay,
is when those came about, so they would be newer to you.
Mm-hmm.
The boomerang is new to this game, and now that we've actually used it, I think it's pretty cool. It's almost like a red shell, except like it does hone in on the person in front of you, but it also hits anyone that you might have missed because it goes on its way back too,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a good chance that you actually hit someone.
That's really cool. I haven't gotten a chance to use it yet. I got the random one where you just like get a coin. I'm like, this is kind of useless. I still hold a banana peel behind me like it's going to make me go faster.
Yeah, you do. I hold it because a red shell may be coming, and that banana can just take it.
Yeah, but I still like to think it makes me go faster.
One of the things that is a little bit different, and I don't know if they did it just for this game or if it's been like that for a little while, but the thing is when you have your banana right behind you, it's technically using your item, but they don't count it anymore. Like before, you can have the banana behind you and then go over another box and you see another item. Like this is going to be my next one after I get rid of the banana, and they don't have that anymore. So someone like me that's in first place for a while with the banana, I can't have like a green shell just in case like I have 2 red shells coming at me or something like that. So that kind of sucks, but it also makes it a little more challenging.
Mm-hmm. Overall, I thought it was a lot of fun, even if you haven't played since N64 games and therefore you suck. Just play like 50cc on the easier maps. Oh, I will say Toad's Turnpike is like the coolest shit ever.
You like that one the best?
Yes, because you can like jump on cars. I'm like, yeah, badass Yoshi jumping on cars. This one's got a surfboard. I'ma drive up it.
The other thing I did play, and I played this with my brother because he downloaded it, was Project M. Now, Project M has been around for a couple of years now. It was basically a video game mod created for Super Smash Bros. Brawl so that it plays more like Super Smash Bros. Melee. Melee is the one on the GameCube. In my opinion, the best Super Smash Bros. They ever made. This one was actually initially started in 2011, so that would make it 3 years old at this point, to try to make Falco more like his Melee counterpart. And it was started and created by Corey Archer.
I thought it was really cool. I watched you guys play. I'm not a Smash Brothers player. I like my Pokemon Snaps and my girly games. But it was a lot of fun watching you guys play. I liked picking out your levels for you because it seemed like they had everything on there. They had all the music. I don't know how it played, but it looked cool.
It was awesome. I think it plays almost exactly like Melee. The difference, of course, is the looks are way more updated because it is the Brawl disc that you're playing off of. So the character models do look a lot better, but the physics match what Melee was. And that was one of my biggest complaints about Brawl, is that it felt way too floaty. So it was more for the casual Super Smash Bros. Player than it was for someone like me who used to enter tournaments and everything. So this one now, like Fox is back to his regular speed and he's a little bit heavier. And what they did too is they made some of these Brawl characters usable. Someone like Wolf, who I did use on Brawl because I didn't like the way Fox was, they made him a little bit quicker. They made him, they balanced him out a lot. And Meta Knight, they made him weaker because he was really overpowered in Brawl. Mm-hmm. So I think this is a great project that took years to complete. They added Mewtwo on there, which a lot of people really want Mewtwo in the new Smash Brothers. Doesn't look like he's going to be in it, but he is in Project M. And I finally, again, I got to play it, and I thought it was awesome. With the new Wii U update that just came out with Mario Kart, it actually disabled Project M.
Aww.
So you got to wait for another version of Project M to come out. But if you have a regular Wii, you don't have to worry about it, because I don't think that thing's had an update in a long time.
It's not getting another update, Dan.
The one,
the Wii, what? The who?
Your most successful platform, aside from your like handhelds. The thing about this one that I laughed about, and we were playing, I forgot which level we were doing, but we were fighting Lucas and Pikachu. It was Fox and Falco, and you were just watching. You didn't know who Lucas was, but you were like Go Pikachu and Bart Simpson.
He looked just like Bart Simpson. He had on the same clothes. He had his little blonde hair. Looked just like Bart.
I laughed for like 10 minutes. Like, now Lucas is Bart Simpson forever. That's Bart Simpson.
I forget what level you guys, I think it was the same match. I don't even remember. And you were just like pushing people off the side. Like, not even, they were standing there and you just go, and you pushed them off.
And I still did that cheap thing where I run off the actual platform and I do the shield. I think it's called Shine Blind. It has a name to it. Where I come up and I go up next to the character that's trying to get back onto the platform after being knocked out, and I put up Fox's deflector shield. And what it does is it pushes them further away from the platform, and it still gives me way more room to like get back to the stage. So I run out, I essentially make them go further, so if they had like just enough room to get back up with their up B move, no, it's gone. And I kept
horrible.
doing that. I love doing that shit. When I do it at Player One Bar, which is a video game bar in the Orlando area, that one people get really upset at because they're like, "That's not fucking bullshit." Like, but then they edge hog. So, for anyone that doesn't know what that is, it's when you're hanging off of the platform and no one can like climb on the platform unless you have just enough room to actually land on it. And that's like even cheaper, I think, in my opinion.
You're
Only
all
I don't
horrible.
do it.
You're all horrible.
So I think it's a great project. If you don't like the way the new Smash Brothers turns out, you have another option. You can play Project M, or even better, just pop in Melee, find the GameCube or find the Wii, and just get some GameCube controllers and start playing.
Today it was announced that Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire will have more Mega Evolutions. Now I'm going to butcher these names. The water thing.
Sorry to any Pokemon listening that we're about to name.
The water thing. The fire thing. How do you say their names? Kyogre and Groudon.
It's either Groudon or Groudon. I'm not sure.
The water thing and the fire thing. Swampert and Sceptile will have Megas. Blazikens was already available in X and Y.
That should have been a big clue right there that they were going to make Alpha and Sapphire.
Oh, yeah.
So the Mega Evolutions for Kyogre and Groudon, they don't look too different. I think they have like a lighter color to them.
They're called, hold on, Tribal.
Yeah, or Ancient Megas or something.
Or Tribal.
It's got like a tribal design. They've got lighter versions and lines onto them. Same exact body, I think. From what I couldn't tell really what was the difference. What do you think about the Swampert evolution and Sceptile Mega Evolution?
Swampert's kind of cool, I guess.
Swampert is one of the coolest Pokemon ever now because he has a Mega Evolution that is as cool as his previous version. I'm not a Charizard fan, so I'm just like, whatever. So, and then the Venusaur one had that like tramp stamp on him with the pink flower. But this Swampert is like all muscly now, and he's hunched over, and he has swift swim ability. Mm-hmm. So like any grass types, watch out, because that fucking ice punch is coming.
Yeah, he turns into like a bodybuilder, essentially, and he's like, I guess he looks kind of cool.
Yes, he does.
He still looks like a Pokemon. Sceptile's not horrible. He's got that weird tail that looks like he's about to rape somebody. He
just got like a bunch of spikes on him and made him look way more complicated.
Yeah, I don't know, but that Swampert, too bad you're not getting this game, because, no Swampert for you.
Well, if you can just trade me the Mega Stone...
You're assuming I'm getting Swampert, or Mudkip.
Alright, any Broquettes out there that are getting this game, if you can spare just one Swampert Mega Stone, that would be great.
But then they won't have a Mega in their game.
They're not going to use Swampert, it's alright.
Wait, but how... You're not making any sense, Dan.
They're going to use better... Don't worry, guys. Swampert's not really that good. He's only on my competitive team because, I want to give him a chance to win, so...
You want to make him feel special.
Yeah, you got to make the fight interesting. I do want to thank Maceo on Twitter. He actually sent us a link to the Mega Evolutions. As soon as they announced it, he, sent it right over to us on Twitter. I was like, oh, holy shit, fucking Swampert's a badass. And, it was awesome. So I added it to the notes, and thanks a lot, Maceo. Keeping us up to date. Continuing with our video game news, there's a ton of news this week, which is awesome.
Lots.
This one especially, though, because I kept hearing it everywhere I went on Twitter.
Can I sing while you announce this?
Yeah, go ahead. A recent trailer for Kingdom Hearts 2.5 HD Remix revealed that the game would release in December exclusively to the PS3. You're like, I can't speak in reverse.
Actually, it would probably sound really demonic if I did. Like, my head started spinning and I'm throwing up and...
Father Merrin. Why, Dimmy?
Speaking of which, okay, totally off topic for just a second, guys. Saw this on Pinterest, thought it was hilarious. This lady, does anybody have mail slots anymore? Instead of a mailbox. You know, mail slot in the door? Okay. So this lady had her, like, fucking ass neighbor kids peeking in her mail slot all the time, so she got pissed off. So she taped the Exorcist eyes over the mail slot.
Oh, the little girl's possessed eyes? That's hilarious.
So when they open the mail slot, they just see her eyes.
That is fucking
creepy. The fuck up. I was like, good job, lady.
That's also the face they use a lot for, like, those jump videos on YouTube where it's like, turn up the video, or turn up the sound. Yeah. I'm like, oh my god, it's Linda Blair! Scariest movie I've seen.
Back to the news you were talking about, because I'm super excited, as told by my song. Sorry if I broke your guys' ears.
Okay, Oops. So before we move on to what happened at the very end of the Kingdom of Hearts video.
Kingdom Hearts, 2.5 HD remix of Badass.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay.
So what it comes, you get a fully HD Kingdom Hearts 2 game.
Yes.
And you get the cinematics for it was the PS2 one. It wasn't like Chain of Memories, but recoded. You get all the cinematics for Recoded. And that one originally just came out in Japan, and then eventually they released it here in the US for the PS2. So you get to not play it, but you get to see all the cinematics for that game.
You get to play Birth by Sleep also.
Which only came out on the PSP.
Yes.
That was one of the reasons the PSP sold so well, because everyone really wanted to play this Kingdom Hearts game. And now you can play it in HD on your PS3 this year.
Yeah, I really got to beat this 1.5 HD remix of Badass.
You can't play 2.5 until you beat 1.5.
Stop.
But now you can beat 1.5 because you got past the Night Before Christmas level. So I don't care. Like I don't care what happens.
So
after.
I can just tell you I beat it then.
You shouldn't have said that because I'm gonna check.
Do I only have to beat Kingdom Hearts 1 or do I have to beat Chain of Memories too?
You should beat Chain of Memories. That's a fun game.
But I'm pretty sure I already beat Chain of Memories like way back in the day.
I don't think
when
you
I had
did.
it. I'm pretty sure I did when I had it for my Game Boy Advance.
Well, you also beat 2, so why should we get 2.5 then?
Well, because I want to play 2 again.
I want to play 2 also. I actually like 2.
Okay, so you can play 2. I played 1. But you can't play it without me, so it's going to take us forever.
2 is my second favorite Kingdom of Hearts game. My first one being the 3DS one.
Yes.
That one was awesome.
Dream Drop.
Loved it. Yep. Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. Mm-hmm. It was great.
AKA play as Riku.
Yeah. Always Riku, then it switched over to Sora. But I like the partners, the animal things. I always had that little frog.
You got the cooking frog. What was his name? Senor Frog? No, what was his name?
Something like that.
Chef LeFou Frog? Chef Frog. Chef...
Well, I had the Chef Frog and then the King. There was like a King Frog thing that I also had on my thing. And there was the Knight. There was the Knight Frog also.
You had 3 frogs on your thing. I remember that.
I really like them. And they kicked ass too. And you can color them. I made them all. I made one of them black and white. The other one I made them like red. And I'm like, come on, frogs. Screw Donald. Screw Goofy. I got some fucking. I got a Frog King and a Frog Cook who burns you with his fucking pot. And then I got a Frog Knight because you need some nobility on this team.
Because the king wasn't noble enough?
No, he's just greedy.
He was pretty fat.
Tell him what happened at the very end of the trailer to Kingdom Hearts 2.5.
Yes! We get somebody talking in Japanese, but there were subtitles, so it was all cool. A teaser for Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, it's all like with concept art and then just talking. Like, they're talking about the Keyblade War. What else were they saying in it?
I don't know, darkness and light, and dark and light, dreams, keyblades.
Stuff we don't understand, which I never understood either.
You know what? It got me excited, because I didn't understand it, but I wanted to learn more.
Kingdom Hearts story is more confusing than the Bravest Warrior stuff.
False.
Like, it's talking about how a dream within a memory, and a memory within a dream. I'm like, I'm lost.
Yeah, because he had a memory of a dream, and when he dreamed his memories.
It's dumb. It's not enough Batman.
Naminé took away his memories. He was just dreaming them.
See, I'm lost already. Like, I don't understand why they can't just have a character and...
More complex.
I'm going to blame the translations is what I'm going to do.
Better.
Here's something, though, that did kind of legitimately upset me. And it's not because of what they said. Square Enix said that you shouldn't expect Final Fantasy 15 or Kingdom Hearts 3 at E3 this year. And by the time you've heard this, maybe they did do a surprise announcement for Kingdom Hearts 3, but it's very unlikely since they came out and said don't expect either one of those games at E3. People lost their shit Like on Twitter, I was reading some of these. It's like, fuck you, Square Enix. Like they were actually
Because
tagging
they
them.
owe you something.
Yeah, exactly. They owe you a fucking Kingdom Hearts teaser. I said it last year when they announced Kingdom Hearts 3 at the earliest 2015. So why would they show anything this year, any kind of little anything, if it's not even going to be... Because you know what they're going to do? If they showed something like they did last year, which they shouldn't have, because it's still a couple years out, but if they didn't, then people would be bitching about how there was no Kingdom Hearts 3 that year, just like they have been for the last, 5 years.
Yeah.
And what pissed me off about all this is I did reply to one of them, and I was like, well, you're still going to fucking buy it when it comes out. Why are you getting upset about this if you're... He's like, no, it's going to be too late by then. I won't even be excited. I'm like, yeah, you will.
Yeah, you will.
As soon as release day comes around, you're going to be there at the midnight fucking buying it. You're just saying that now because it's far away and you're angry. Calm your... I'm not going to say that, but...
No!
Cut myself off there.
Proud of you, Dan.
I think it's just ridiculous.
I get why they're angry, because it's been a really long time. Like, we've been waiting for Kingdom Hearts 3 for a really long time.
Oh well, keep waiting. Now I wish they had never said anything.
No, Dan, stop.
Yep.
Stop. Get out of my house. But you did call it. It is going to be a ways off. People need to calm down, be patient, be happy for what we've seen, because it looks like it's going to be a great game. And really, the longer they wait, the better it's going to be.
Speaking of which...
Dan called this one. I will give you the credit for it. Batman Arkham Knight has been delayed until 2015.
Yeah, the Arkham Knight game trailer, the latest one, said coming soon instead of...
October December,
2014.
whatever.
I think before it just said 2014.
Mm-hmm.
They changed it to coming soon. So they knew a little while ago that it was probably not done in time. Arkham Knight will join The Witcher 3, The Order 1886, The Division, and Mad Max in 2015 delay. So all these games were supposed to come out this year for the holiday season. Big hits, right? Especially The Witcher and Batman, but now they're coming out next year.
I'm going to be the general public for a second. How dare they? Making these things better for me by delaying them. I'm so angry. I don't know why I turned Southern there. I turned into like a prospector.
Prospector Pete from Toy Story 2?
Yeah.
That's the first one that came to mind.
Didn't he make like fart noises and that's
He
why
did.
he was...
He was angry all the time. And
Oh, they delayed my game.
every Twitter tweet like that now, it's just going to be Prospector in my mind. If I reply to them, I'm just going to hashtag
Okay,
Prospector Pete. Yeah. They're going to be confused, like, what the hell is he talking about?
Games are going to be better for this, though. Games are always better when they delay them. Do you make video games? Do you know what it takes to make them better? No, you don't. Just sit down, eat a bowl of ice cream. You'll feel better.
Basically, what they said about the delay is that great things take time.
Yes.
And that's true. Like I said about every single delay, even when it's a game that I'm not going to buy, I say the same thing every time. If it means a better experience later, I'd rather have a great game tomorrow than a rushed game today. And that's the same especially with Batman. This is Rocksteady's final Arkham game, and they want to make sure that it's really solid. They could have easily released it this year, and it would have made a shit ton of money, especially for the holiday season.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't feel like it was ready. You could even see on Twitter, Kevin Conroy, Tara Strong, they're still doing their voice acting stuff for the game. So it's a little ways out. And I think it's fine. Not only does it mean a better game in the end, but it also gives me more time to save up for a PS4.
Because you got to colorware that bitch.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where do we have space for a PS4?
We'll make space. We're not getting rid of the PS3 though, because I still got a couple games I got to finish on that. A bunch of downloads too.
Now we're going to move on to our question of the week and their responses. Our question was, what do you want to see at E3 this year?
Starting off with Twitter, @IrishOnFire31 said, I would love either a Mario 64 sequel or a Zelda that takes place between Majora's Mask and Wind Waker. Mario 64 sequel, so it would have to be like a direct sequel to 64, not so much like a Mario World like we have been seeing, or like Mario Galaxy, which they are in the spirit of Mario 64, but he wants to see something a little more basic is what it sounds like.
I really like Mario 64. I beat Bowser. I think I only got like 64 stars though.
Keep spinning him on there and throw him against the bomb.
Yeah.
They used to take me forever.
I'd be like, bleh, bleh, and then every time he'd come up, he'd like, I'm gonna remove some of the platform.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're an asshole, Bowser.
Don't you fight like Baby Bowser first, and then like the real Bowser or something? What I don't know maybe I'm thinking of like a more difficult version of Bowser later on or something.
You only fight 3 Bowsers.
Doesn't it get harder every time?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking.
Because the first one's just normal. You throw him against the bomb once, you're done. Second one, he's on that, like, moving lava platform, which is a pain in the ass, and you had to throw him on 2 bombs. And the last one, he's on that platform where he deletes, like, it goes away until it's just a star, and you have to throw him on 3 ones.
Jeez.
Yeah, he was a pain in the ass. And if you just, like, throw him off, he jumps back. I'm like, how'd you jump out of space? But whatevs.
I'm still going to call a Majora's Mask sequel or remake announced this coming week for the 3DS or the Wii U. But we'll know for sure if I'm right in my prediction or, as those 2 jerks will call it, Nostradamus.
Next, we have at JJordan584, who says, I would like Nintendo to announce a Pokemon game for the Wii U, a game like Pokemon. We're assuming he's talking about a full-on Pokemon adventure game.
Not necessarily an MMORPG like some people want, where you just play an online game with trainers and everyone, but something more like, I guess it was Pokemon XD was the closest we got to like a console adventure Pokemon game. It was on the GameCube. You started off with like Eevee. No, you started off with Umbreon and the psychic one. Shit, like it's slipping my mind. Espeon.
Dan, call yourself a Pokemon master.
I think that one you like train Pokemon, you can catch them and everything. There was like a Dark Lugia in it. I only played it a little bit. I didn't play it too much because I like my Pokemon games in my handheld form. And that's why they have said they haven't made like a full-on Pokemon game on a console, because they don't want it to be... It's called Pocket Monster, so they want it to stay as like a handheld, something you take with you. But, you know, fans would... Obviously, it would help Wii U sales. I honestly think the next Pokemon game is going to be that Pokemon Fighter that they teased like last year. A fighting game for Pokemon. We'll know for sure again on Monday, I believe, is when they're going to announce everything.
Is it Monday?
I thought it was Monday, like June 9th. Yep.
Huh.
June 9th.
You know what would help Wii U sales?
What?
Pokemon Snap for the Wii U.
And maybe they announced it by the time some of these listeners like...
I would lose my mind.
We'll tell you next week what we were right on and what we were completely off on.
There's no Pokemon Snap for the Wii U, Dan. Don't get my hopes up.
The next comment was from Tumblr, actually, at World End Cross. He had quite a list of E3 wishes. They included, quote, Marvel vs. Capcom 4, 54 playable characters in Super Smash Bros. He didn't say which ones, just 54. Darkstalkers 4, that one, yes, I agree. It's not coming, but also Rival Schools, Tekken Cross Street Fighter, a new Guilty Gear game, King of Fighters 15, BB Final, and Tekken 7. I almost called it Kingdom of Fighters, like it was a Kingdom Hearts game or something.
Sir, you out your mind.
I think he likes fighting games.
You think?
54 playable characters. I kind of want to reply and be like, so which ones? Like, how do you fill a 54 player roster on Super Smash Bros?
I'm gonna
There's already 4 Pokemon, by the way.
I'm gonna pick these characters. Okay. We have the snowman from the Kirby games. He's a lot of fun. Can I throw in the tree from a cow from Harvest Moon?
How would he fight?
Badass. He like shoots milk at people.
Okay, that's
like Matrix
cool.
style. It's like he's so cool. Okay, I'm liking this game. Can we throw in a llama from Harvest Moon too? Don't know how he's gonna fight, but
I think this is all Harvest Moon characters.
An alpaca.
All games you play.
Street Fighter Harvest Moon. Okay, I want Todd from the Pokemon games. And, like, he takes pictures, but of you, like, doing embarrassing things, and it hurts you, like, oh, my tongue was hanging out, or I just got out of the bathtub. Awesome.
All right, then.
All right, so I've got 4 characters down, 50 more to go.
50 more to go. That's your homework for the week.
Okay, I'm going to make 54 playable characters for Street Fighter.
Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah. I'll make some for Street Fighter, too, Dan.
You're like, and Batman's going to be in it? It's like a junior high... Remember in junior high, people would make up these stories about, like, and then there's a secret character in there, and it was always, like, something that's obviously, like, Goku. It's like, Goku's not in that.
But you had to do, like, the certain thing and not lose any lives and play for, like, to get to the moon in Sapphire. I had to play for 100 hours. I only made it to, like, 20, but that's okay.
We got a couple of movie reviews for you this week. Part of the lengthy podcast episode we got. So which one do you want to do first? Do you want to do X-Men Days of Future Past or Maleficent?
Let's start with X-Men first.
Okay.
So this is a sequel to...
First Class, I guess.
Kind of. which we really, really liked.
Yes, it was my favorite X-Men movie. I don't know
Mine
about yours.
as well.
Okay.
This one was good, but I don't think it lived up to what First Class started. It didn't have the same feel. I didn't feel the same emotions for the characters, but it had Hugh Jackman.
It did have Hugh Jackman, which I do like Hugh, and it also had the older cast from First Class.
Patrick Stewart.
Patrick Stewart was back. Gandalf was in it again. Very limited, but it was only for the future scenes, which was fine, because this movie was about the younger cast. Wolverine, essentially what the plot is, it's the Future's End plot, sort of, or maybe even Terminator 2, if you want to go even further back. Terminator 1, I should say, where they're trying to prevent this future from happening, so they send someone back, which in this case it's Wolverine, because there's this thing where
his mind is the only one because it's always regenerating because it always heals and he just goes back and he's fine.
They could have just said, "Why Wolverine?" And Patrick Stewart just could have gone, "Cha-ching." Would have been done. Reason
perfect.
enough. All right, fine.
Perfect.
So they send back probably the worst person
Absolutely.
to send back. Yeah, somehow worse than Iceman. To try to convince the younger Xavier and younger Magneto to stop Mystique from killing one of the guys that actually invented the Sentinels, which in the future screw everything up. Because they go and they kill not only every mutant, but they kind of enslave some humans as well and kill humans that are sympathetic to the mutant cause.
Well, they also kill humans whose genes could produce mutants.
That's really fucked up.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, your grandkid's gonna be a mutant?
Dead.
Fucking dead.
And the twist to the Sentinels this time is that they actually have Mystique's ability of changing, but what they do is they adapt. So they adapt to, if you're like freezing them, if you're Iceman, they suddenly adapt to like fire. So they use the Human Torch's, or not the Human Torch, but Pyro's powers and completely obliterate you. Doesn't matter. And there's some pretty gruesome deaths in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
People are ripped in half and stabbed all the time.
Heads come off.
And then are stepped on.
Yeah.
Screwed up stuff. So let's talk about X-Men Days of Future Past. Do you want to share yours first or mine?
You can go ahead.
I felt like it had a lot of pacing issues. I felt like in the first half of the movie or so, it was just...
This.
Well, in the very beginning, it was a lot of that. There wasn't enough character interaction, and it was just very rushed. Like, okay, so I lost these 3 characters. Azazel, Hurricane or whatever,
Fire.
and then Angel.
Yeah.
They're all dead.
Stripper lady.
And this is why I care. And then Xavier's on this drug, which helps him walk, but he's kind of overdoing it because it also dulls down all the voices that he hears in his head. So they all have these problems, but they don't take the time to actually explore them. It's like, all right, I understand, but it doesn't feel like... If you hadn't seen First Class, you really lost a lot here if you just jumped into this. And I've said it time and time again, a movie should stand on its own. You shouldn't have to have seen the previous one for this one to be really enjoyable. And I felt like if you didn't see First Class, you would really not like X-Men Days of Future Past.
I agree with that. There were some things that bothered me. For example, in First Class, when Mystique's like, I'm gonna go with Magneto, Xavier's like, yeah, cool, have a good time, I just want you to be happy. And in this one, he's like, you took her away from me. Like, you said that was cool, sir, just calm down. Like I said before, they didn't really make me care for any of the characters. They could have done so much with Xavier and Magneto, them learning to become friends again or forgiving each other. I don't know, it just seems like they just hated each other.
And even at the end of the movie, they never had that really big resolution. It was just like, well, if you let them capture me, I'll die. Yeah, you're right. Go ahead and leave.
Peace out.
It wasn't like the first one, where even in the first one when Xavier was hurt, Magneto was upset because it was still his friend, even though they didn't agree. Like, that's the powerful stuff that you got in First Class. Like, a lot of little things. When he helped Magneto unlock his mind to be able to move that satellite, it's like there's so much growth and development. And here, you didn't get any of that.
Right. I would have liked to have seen, because now Xavier is the one who needs to grow. And Wolverine did all that. Well, really, Xavier did all that for himself. But I would have liked to see Magneto come beside him and be like, I get that you're in all this pain, I am too, but that's not a reason to forget and lose who you really are because of all the good you can do for it. That would have been great if Magneto came and did that for him. You didn't even see them in the future. Like, yeah, they're friends, but they didn't really interact.
Yeah.
Because Magneto's just like, okay, I'm going to go save the day, which is pretty badass. Good for him. And Xavier's just like, all right, bye. I don't even think he said anything to him. He just walked out and that was the end. If we could see that they were really good friends there, that would have made the past a little bit better.
Another little problem, too, with Magneto, and I feel like not only is the pacing kind of off in this, but also the characters, like they just didn't, they weren't quite there, is Magneto, he knows that this is the future that's going to happen, but he still twice tries to fuck it all up.
Yeah.
Like once when he wants to kill Mystique, and then the other where he wants to kill the president and the Sentinel creator. Mm-hmm. It's like you're not stopping what Mystique is doing to create all this. You're making it worse.
Yeah. And
you're putting it on television because you want to prove some point after you've already been told and shown that this future is shitty.
Yeah, agreed. There were some. It was still a good movie. It was entertaining.
Yeah.
But compared to the last one, I just don't think it lived up. There was so much more that they could have done.
Yeah, don't take our opinion as like a negative review of this. It is actually my third favorite of the X-Men movies. I did enjoy it. I'm glad I saw it. But it's only because I liked First Class so much, and I saw these characters back.
Right.
Granted, I also know that originally Matthew Vaughn would have taken this whole movie and put it in the 70s only with just a younger cast. Now, with the end of this movie, I hope that they kind of put an end and wrapped up that X-Men franchise that Bryan Singer had with the first 3 movies. Like, okay, so this is their future, it's safe, and this is like a goodbye to all the older actors, minus Hugh Jackman, who's obviously going to be in this storyline now with the younger X-Men. But let's move forward with the younger X-Men. Mm-hmm. And from what I've read online, it looks like the next movie will take place in the 80s, which means that hopefully we won't have to worry about like Cyclops or Storm or any of them, Iceman. They had their moment, their movies are done. We got this great young cast, let's just focus on them.
Mm-hmm. The next movie we saw was Maleficent. Out of these 2 movies, this one was my favorite. It made me
Same here.
Cry, even though I knew it was going to happen. It made me laugh, made me angry. Altogether, a very well-rounded, very pretty movie. Angelina Jolie was phenomenal.
Yes, she was. This movie, if you're not going to see it, okay, the special effects, they're not that impressive. I'm going to say that right off the bat.
Those tree guys were pretty badass.
The tree guys were awesome because I love tree monsters.
They were like, and I'm like, you're pretty sexy, sir. I would definitely go with you.
The handsome tree that she calls? Yeah.
He was pretty handsome.
I like the tree monsters. I like the tree monsters in Maleficent, the ones in Lord of the Rings, and the ones in Darren Aronofsky's Noah. Mm-hmm. Anything with tree monsters, I'm already going to like this movie. But for Maleficent, those were kind of cool. The set designs were great. The costume designs were awesome. The makeup was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. But again, CGI, I just can't do it. Give me the puppets, give me the costumes, I'll do that. But that's just a me problem, I think, because I grew up with like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, where the costumes look amazing, much better than any CGI you can put out there. So for me, it's just like it looks like an Avatar movie thing where everything is obviously computerized. It's not even. It's a little bit of an overload to me, and that's fine. I still think it's a me problem. But you see this movie for the acting and the story. The acting, Angelina Jolie, is great. I don't feel like there was one scene in there where I was just like, oh, that's just Angelina Jolie. No, that was Maleficent. Mm-hmm. This is a new Maleficent. It is a Maleficent that's given so much growth and dimension to her. And you really see that the characters in the original telling, supposedly, of Sleeping Beauty are, as you would put it, dumb... Would you say? Doodums. The 3 fairies.
Doodums.
Complete idiots.
Yes.
And you see that Maleficent is actually raising young Aurora, and you're seeing how she was actually wronged, and this is why she goes after the king. And it was originally co-written by Paul Dini. The script was finished, and he went over it and fixed it and changed some things. And now his credit is not in the movie at all. And every time I tweet Paul Dini, he says, I can't talk about it, it's a Disney issue, and I understand. It's probably a legal thing. Mm-hmm. But, we all know Paul Dini pretty much helped write this, if not, wrote a majority of it. And it shows, because this is a character, a villain that you actually care about. Mm-hmm. Very much like his Mr. Freeze.
Agreed. You definitely see Paul Dini's hand in it. The passage of time and the pacing in this was great. I loved the ending. I don't want to spoil it for whoever is going to go see it. The only part that threw me is when Maleficent was wronged. And that scene was great when she barges into the castle. You see it in the previews all the time. But she went from, like, really happy and really nice to suddenly I'm really evil. But on the plus side of that, we did get to see her development back to being
a decent
who
person
she was.
again. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was one of the things that also kind of irked me. But also at the very end, like, you know why she cares for Aurora, because of the relationship she has with the king. But then at the very end, again, we're not going to spoil what happens. They could have taken a little bit of extra time to show that this is difficult for Maleficent to do. Mm-hmm. And that would also make her relationship with Aurora that much more powerful.
Right.
It would have just been a good, perfect, roundabout way to end it. And it that wasn't there. But, you know, it's whatever. It's like little things, I guess.
Mm-hmm. One thing I do want to point out for anybody who's going to see it or has already seen it, that I thought was one of the coolest parts of this movie for me. And like I said, I loved the acting. I did like the sets. They were beautiful too. I love the story. But her costume was what got me the most. That headpiece that she wears. Because I was sitting there and you know she's going to put on the headpiece. But for the whole movie she has really long hair. I'm thinking, how is she going to fit all that hair up? And the headpiece is her hair wrapped around and like gelled in place. And it was hard to notice unless you were really looking. And I actually think it changed a few times because when she's really evil, it looks more like scales.
Yeah.
And then as she starts to get better, it turns into her hair. Her crow friend, when he turned into a human, his hair was feathers. And it was hard to see unless you were really looking. But in everything she turned him into, he had some part of him being a crow in there. Stuff like that was just so cool. It's who thinks, like, I wouldn't think of that. I'm like, yeah, just slap a bald cap on her and, I don't know, do whatever. But they incorporated so many little things, subtle things that worked and looked beautiful and tied everything together. I loved it.
Were you also not really impressed with the directing? Did you feel like it was just like, it's just whatever? It was very...
Yeah.
There wasn't really a scene there where I saw it and I'm like, oh, that was filmed really cool. I really like the way that was set up. This is because it's the first time, like, film director for this one, for Maleficent. And it was also a movie that was more expensive than Tron 2. This was a very, very expensive movie to make. Unfortunately, the directing wasn't quite up to par, but Angelina's acting is so powerful, it carries the movie. See this for the acting, see it for the set design, and see it for the makeup.
Moving on to some television news. We have been watching some of Derek Season 2. This is Ricky Gervais's show on Netflix. If you remember us talking about the old one, it takes place in an old folks home. We have Derek, who we don't know if he has some form of... They allude to autism, but we don't know if that's what it is because they never...
actually tell you.
Right. Their whole thing is, would it matter?
Right.
What does it change if I know if I have it or not? But this is the most heartfelt... I think we cry in almost every episode, or you get sad, and it just makes you want to go hug your grandma.
It's such a powerful show, and Ricky Gervais, when he cries, you cry. Like, it's inevitable. It's gonna happen. And the writing itself is good. The characters are really funny, but then it gets to, like, a sad moment. There's been one episode where it's just all funny. Just funny the whole time. If you didn't like the original The Office, which is what the U.S. Office is based on, don't worry, it's nothing like that. It's its own thing, and it's all, like, beautiful. Like, there's always that thing I repeat on Twitter, kindness is magic. Watch season 1, and you'll see exactly what that's about. They give you so many episodes and scenes and dialogue that it actually makes you stop and think, as you're living your day, like, maybe I should be a little bit like Derek. Why can't I just be a little bit nicer to someone? Because, like he says, giving kindness or receiving kindness, it's just mutually beneficial. Like, both of you feel better because you're being kind to someone. And this is the show all symbolic in its story, and just nothing like it. It's a gorgeous show.
It is. That's the perfect way to describe it. It's gorgeous. I think the thing that I loved most from the season so far, it's in the very first episode. Derek's father comes to live in the old folks' home and wants to get Derek a gift, but he's been estranged his whole life, doesn't know what he likes. So he asks Derek to write him down 10 things that he wants. So, you know, he can use that. He tells a silly little story about you put it in a box and then a genie grants you a wish of one of those things. And everything on his list is for somebody else. One of the last things is Hannah, I don't know what you would call it, the overseer.
It's the main female character.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
He just wants her to be happy. He said if she's happy, then I don't need anything else. He wants pills to make mean people more tolerable or less mean. But then he also wants a pill so that you can tolerate mean people better. Just things like that. He doesn't want anything for himself. Mm-hmm. He only wants it for other people. And that's such a good message. Like, it's, and they bring it so subtly. It's not, you need to be like this. But you watch it and you want to be like that because you realize that that's what really makes you happy, is your love for other people.
Yeah, if you have Netflix, please check out Derek. Season 1, Season 2, they're not very long. I think 6 or 7 episodes a season. Mm-hmm. It's great. Check it out. Staying on the Netflix talk, Season 2 of Pokemon Indigo League, Season 15 of the current show, and also Kyurem versus the Sword of Justice, the Pokemon movie. I want to say it's 2 movies ago. They're now available on Netflix. So if you were talking about how they never got to the Orange Islands in the first season of Pokemon Indigo League, there you go. Season 2 up every single episode.
So is this Sword of Justice, is that a tie-in with the Justice League? Is Batman going to be in there?
I haven't seen it yet, so possibly.
Like, how's he going to take down Pokemon?
Elbow to the face. And then he captures them.
He has, like, unlimited supply of Master Balls. He's like... Pew, pew, pew,
they got a little bat on him.
Yeah, or a little, like, W, because they're by Wayne Enterprises.
True.
Badass. This is exciting, though. I don't think I ever really got through Season 2. I remember him trying to go to the Orange Islands, and then I was like,
That's where they lost a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Because Ash got to the Pokemon League, and then he lost.
Yeah, has he ever won a league?
I think he won one, like, tiny tournament, like, recently, but he didn't know Pokemon League or anything.
Why?
Because he keeps giving away his Pokemon, or not evolving them, or... I don't know.
Because it's about the journey with your friends and not about winning.
Because they'd have no show if he won, like, if he was the champion. That's why.
I'd watch it. I'd be like, yeah, let's see. Like, if they just turn him into a badass like Gary, and he's just like beating the shit out of people all over the place, I'd watch it.
That'd be cool.
He's got a harem of women, and he's like 10.
Good job, Gary. So we're gonna make our way through Season 2. We've already started. I think we're 5 episodes in, and enjoying every minute of it.
Have I been asleep for all these 5 episodes?
Probably.
Some really exciting news, too, and I want to give a big thank you to our Twitter follower, at Chris Galvin 1981, who shared with us Sailor Moon Crystal. This is the remake based off the manga, and they released a trailer for it. Looks beautiful.
Fully updated. Like, we've been watching the Sailor Moon episodes on Hulu. You know, they're charming and whatnot. I still have, like, kind of an issue with it. It's like, you're not really developing the character's not growing.
Dan, she's like 14.
It's entertaining though, and that's all you can ask out of like a show. For this one, it's just full on HD. I think one of my coworkers was telling me it's Studio Ghibli still from Ponyo and all them, and it shows. It really shows. It's a great looking show, and it does look like the manga. The face is a little bit different, bigger eyes, and it does look great.
It does. I read the manga way back when in the day, and it does look exactly like the manga. It's supposed to follow it really closely from what I understand, so a lot of people will like that. Not so much for kids if you follow it that closely. I mean, I guess it could be, but...
Why? What?
Well, they changed a lot of things in the American version.
Okay.
So you have 2 Sailor Scouts you run into later. Sailor Uranus and Sailor Neptune. Mm-hmm. They're lovers, not cousins.
Oh, so in the American they were
cousins.
All right.
But they were still really close. But anyway, they're both girls. You run into a man. Yes, a man that Sailor Moon's in love with at one point called... I don't even remember his name. But he was blonde. Mm-hmm. And he was evil.
Bart Simpson.
It wasn't Bart Simpson. I'll remember his name eventually. It's like Jedi or whatever who we're talking about now, but a different name. But it ended in "ite." Anyway. She was in love with him, and like they made out and stuff. It was a girl.
Well, all right then. I heard the Hulu one is supposed to be like an uncut version. Like
yes.
They're going to have the 2 Sailor Scouts that are in love and everything, and just like the original was. Mm-hmm.
Supposedly. So I guess in Japan, yes, it was that way, and then they brought it over here, and people were like, oh.
Not yet.
Cousins.
It's the 90s. So it's good news. I'll watch it with you. But if you weren't watching, I probably wouldn't see them.
Well, but you have all those guys in that, like, when it cuts to commercials, who scream about Sailor Moon.
If you watch Hulu, like, in between the commercials, like, usually you see Pokemon, it's like, we'll be back after these messages. On Sailor Moon, it's like old Japanese men, like...
There's a spotlight, and it goes around, and then it lands on Sailor Moon, and then these old men scream,
Sailor Moon.
You don't say it right. They go, Sailor Moon.
Just deep voices like, Sailor Moon.
But they are. They sound like old men. And I'm like, old men watch this show?
That's my favorite part of that.
Just for the tiny skirts.
Yeah, just the underage tiny skirts. This one I'm kind of excited to talk about because it's like a Twitter thing, and I was semi-involved in this too.
You're so funny.
I told you about it later, and you were like, holy shit. Comics for kids. So people right now, anyone that follows me on Twitter already like, oh shit.
Here we go.
Comics for Kids was an organization that was accepting free comics and donations to give comic books to kids. Okay, sounds great. Great organization. That's awesome. The tweet that caused a huge uproar was as follows from the organization's Twitter handle, which is @comics4_kids. So don't forget that underscore if you're... I mean, the account is protected. I'm not saying, like, go out and tweet at them. Not saying that at all, but just so you know who it is. Because there's another Twitter handle, which is Comics for Kids, but it's not this one. So the one we're talking about, @comics4_kids. This is what they said. Jace loves to read comics and draw superheroes. He was named most artistic in his class today. Please retweet. End quote.
Okay.
Sounds cool. But as bleedingcool.com puts it, the plan was to give this kid a free comic for every retweet. Alright? @Aaron Myers quickly found out that this kid's last name was the same as the account owner's, Michael Whitehead. So people are like, wait a second. You know this person that you want to retweet and give these free comics to? This is kind of shady. Turns out it was, I believe, his nephew. So before we go any further, you are Michael Whitehead, head of Comics for Kids. What do you do? This is a PR problem now.
Not what he did.
Whatever you decide to do is not what this person did.
Absolutely not what he did. I would either ignore it, pull down that... Can you pull down tweets?
Yeah, you can delete them.
Possibly delete that tweet, ignore it, or issue an apology.
And say we're not going to donate to this child.
Right.
As some of you found out, it's my nephew. I apologize. Do know that our organization does, however, donate to kids in need. This is just it's not like I do this all the time or whatever.
Or say for every retweet we will donate the books to his class or something along those lines.
I would have, or to the Hero Initiative where you help out comic book creators. That's what I would have done. I would have spun it and be like, we're going to take your donations and give it to another organization to donate. Just so you know that this is a legitimate organization we're now connecting with. Done. Problem solved.
But this guy.
Here's some tweets that he got, right? Not even something that Michael said. First one was from I want to pronounce it Golson. It's Gholson. I don't even know what's up with Comics for Kids asking for 400 plus comics and money donations for a kid with the same last name as the guy who runs it.
Reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Our next one is from @TheOneTrueBix, who says, so, @comics4_kids, response to alleged cyberbullying is to ask followers to fraudulently post bad ratings/reviews for @ComicsTherapy.
So, Comics Therapy is a podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they talked about this issue. Whatever they may have said that was shitty towards Comics for Kids, and I haven't actually heard what they said, but it was something negative, as they put it, cyberbullying. They asked their 22,000 followers to go on the iTunes page for this podcast, and allegedly he said, like, just listen to the podcast and rate it based on what they said. You're telling them to give them a negative review.
Right.
You told your 22,000 followers to give this podcast a negative review.
You can't do that.
It's so shitty.
Yes.
It's so shitty. Like, why are you going out of your way now to harm, like, someone that said something against you? And when I started tweeting, I'm like, if I get a negative podcast review all of a sudden, like, I'm going to know, like, I think it's this guy.
Yeah.
It's like, from @Michael Blackhead. It's like, you're not hiding it. You're Michael Whitehead, asshole. So that's just, it's so petty. Like, it's so, like, elementary school thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's very childish. You fucked up. Own up to it. Be an adult. Issue an apology. People are going to talk. Here's the thing. If those people had said whatever they said about him, and their listeners or whoever doesn't know what this guy's about, now they're going to jump over to his page. If he has a fantastic apology and this is what I'm going to do to make up for it, these are the steps we're going to take, now he's gotten their faith back in him, and maybe they're going to say, you know what, this guy owned up to his shit. He's going to do whatever.
Like, the organization's fine. They don't have to, not necessarily they're going to donate to them, but we're done.
Right.
And one of the things that also Rick from The Read Pile and Those Two Jerks, you can check out his shows on nerdupmedia.com. I think he put it best. He said, just bury it. Mm-hmm. Let people talk. Let it go. Let the fire just kind of...
Let it go. Let it go. Don't send a tweet anymore.
So that's exactly what Rick said.
You fucked up and you're an asshole.
No, but Rick said, just let people talk. It'll go away in like a day or two.
Mm-hmm.
It'll blow over. It's fine. Yeah. It's not what he did. Eventually, okay, so this is where I kind of came in. I mentioned earlier there was another Twitter handle, and this one's by @Comics4Kids Inc. Different than the one we're talking about. They said, we are not associated with this person, Michael Whitehead, or the @Comics4_Kids username. So they put that out there as like, to avoid any, maybe they got some negative tweets from people that are like, you fucking assholes, you pieces of shit, donating money. They're like, that's not us. So they put out that thing, just so you guys know, that's not us.
Cool, good for them.
All right.
I would have done the same thing.
And then Comics4_Kids responded with, I will be sure to email all 34 of your followers and make sure they are aware that we are not associated. It's...
Michael Whitehead, stop being a dick.
And I responded to him. I was like, that was unnecessary. And he replied back with, no, I did actually go there and email all 34 of his followers and told them that.
That was him being like, damn it, somebody caught me being a dickhead.
Well, not even that. He was a bigger dickhead now because of his response, because he was like, no, I really did email all 34 of his followers. It's like, you're emphasizing, one, the number of followers he has, and because you have over 22,000, now you're the better person or bigger person or whatever, you're being a dick. I'm sorry, you're an asshole.
He needed to hire me to write all his tweets. I would have done it. We would not have had this problem. He'd still be getting donations.
He ended up getting upset and going out on Twitter and tweeting. And unfortunately adding more gasoline to the flame.
You can't do that. Like, do people just not realize once you put it on the internet, it's there. Mm-hmm. And even if you pull it down, somebody screenshotted that bitch.
Which he did.
And you're done. You have to think before you type anything. And, I mean, I can see how it's a problem on Twitter, especially. Big companies have people to run their Twitters. But we've seen it with comic book writers, comic book artists. You see it now. In this case, you gotta think before you type, guys. For realsies.
Eventually, Michael Whitehead did have a tweet as like a final say.
He said, we are no longer non-profit. Our mission has not changed, but we now only answer to the IRS and people that will help our mission. He's pretty much saying, you guys won't help me, so I don't have to answer to you.
Basically.
Why do you throw the IRS in there?
Because when you're no longer nonprofit, then you have to submit stuff into the IRS, and it's a whole thing now.
That's dumb.
I guess this is a solution, but it's a solution after like a shitstorm.
But it's a stupid solution too.
The organization is done though. He kind of just buried his whole thing by being shitty to people. Like he was shitty. Like I pointed out to that guy with all 34 of your followers. Like fuck you, dude. Like seriously, fuck you.
Right? Yeah, he lost that. But he also, like, I don't think the answer was to be like, well, now I'm just going to change everything. Now since everything's changing. Like, I don't think that was the answer. Going back to the beginning, this guy shouldn't have tried to get comics for his nephew. For real, sir.
Yeah, that was the main, like, at the end of the day.
I get that they're family, but if I had a non-profit organization that donated PS3s, I wouldn't be like, this is Kyle, who's not my brother. He totes needs a PS4, 3, whatever. Just give him one. You don't do that. You tell your family, hey, look, I'm sorry, this is for other people. I'm happy to go buy you a comic.
Mm-hmm. And so if you're out there, again, don't tweet to @Comics4_Kids. Instead, follow @Comics4Kids Inc. and give them, let's get their way higher than 34. Let's fucking double those numbers. Higher than 34 numbers. Get them a shit ton of followers. because someone made fun of him, so I feel bad. Like,
let's get him
someone
70
was being
followers.
shitty to him. Like, they were being assholes. More followers than us right there. Boom. That's a lie, but definitely more listeners than.
Yeah. What do we have? Like 2?
I think we have 3 now. Yeah, we had a good bump.
Ooh.
Yeah, that Godzilla one shot us up.
One more whole listener.
Almost. We're just 7 more listeners, and we're in the double digits there.
We're big kids now. Time to pull on those Pampers. Those Pampers pull-ups.
Right. So with that, we can move on to some Batman news.
Always
and
my
finally
favorite.
into the comics.
The Batman 75th anniversary variant covers have been revealed. These include variants from Kevin Nolan, Graham Nolan, Cliff Chang, Brian Hitch, Michael Kaluta, Danny Mickey, Dan Jurgens, Klaus Janson, Jim Steranko, Walter Simonson, Darwin Cook, and more.
So we took a look at all these covers. You can check it out yourself right now. Go to newsarama.com. It's one of the headlines. Which one was your favorite? And I think we had the same one.
Throwback to my childhood, Darwin Cook.
That was my favorite cover too.
Batman
Justice
and
League
Friends.
number 33.
It's Batman and Friends, Dan. It looked exactly like the last episode of the Justice League when they're all running out and it just zooms in on Batman's chest.
Yeah, it was Justice League Unlimited. If you go to the very last episode, that's how it ends. The way this whole Bruce Timm universe began with Batman. Batman the Animated Series Season 1 ends with the final Justice League episode with Batman. And that's what this is. Batman's not in the front because this just so happens to be Batman's 75th anniversary. He's at the front because he's the Justice League. It's Batman and friends. It's not really the Justice League. It's just his associates.
Which we found at Target, BT Dubs. Did you ever put that picture up?
No, I will put it up though. By the time this goes up, it'll probably be up. But it's the animated series, like a 5-pack episode randomly, like different seasons.
Shitty episodes.
But I think it's only like $5 or $6 or whatever.
$5.
You got the Rat King in there. The front of the DVD does not say Batman the Animated Series 5-pack or whatever. Nothing. It says Batman and Friends.
None of those people in those episodes were his friends. You had the underdwellers, you had the outsiders. Like, just go ahead and pick the worst episodes ever, and that's pretty much what they put on there.
Although his 2 friends are Alfred and that guy that he shared that heat box with. So those are his friends. That's what the thing is.
Okay, Dan.
So that's the one we're going to be getting, Justice League number 33 variant, Darwin Cook.
Mm-hmm.
More importantly, though, everyone out there trying to get this Bill Finger thing going, and we talked about the Kickstarter that we supported, we get a little bit of somewhat of a start to this.
Yes, this is the first time that Bill Finger gets a cover credit on a Batman book.
The free edition of Detective Comics number 27 that will release on Batman Day, which is July 23rd this year, has Bill Finger's name next to Bob Kane's.
Amazing. So happy.
It's a start. It's definitely a start. Eventually, maybe we'll get like Batman created by Bill Finger and Bob Kane.
Yep.
As we all know, if you don't know, Bill Finger's the man that came up with most of the ideas when it came to the Caped Crusader. Robin, Alfred, the origin of Batman with his parents being killed. A lot of that, everything that is symbolic of the Batman today was started by Bill Finger, and it was always Bob Kane that took the credit for most of it.
Because he's an asshole.
Bill Finger never fought for it either.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. I'm not gonna be mad at Bob Kane either. But it's just kind of one of those things that we're now kind of discovering more about history of the Batman, and we're kind of wanting to see a little bit of resolution out of it, including Bill Finger's family, who I'm sure maybe it involves some money. Or
Probably.
Regardless, it's nice to see Bill Finger's name on the cover of a Batman book, Detective Comics number 27.
And now we're going to move into our comics of the week. First off, we have our indie books. Adventure Time, The Flip Side, number 6 of 6. This is written by Paul Tobin and Colleen Coover, with art by Wook-Jin Clark and Dave Crossland.
This all comes to an end with this, and there are zombies.
Yep, this is wrapping up the reverse quest. Way in the beginning, 6 months ago, Finn and Jake go to a quest board. And all of them look too easy, so they go to the back and they're like, yeah, let's make this one happen. Well, then shit starts to happen because it's a reverse quest. So because they're not completing it, everything's getting reversed.
Mm-hmm. Well, here they figure out a way in which they can kind of bring a solution to everything in the Adventure Time universe in the land of Ooo. And it kind of wraps up a little quickly. Mm-hmm. It has that problem. I'm seeing that as a pattern now with a lot of the writers.
Yeah.
Is that they have a little bit of a hard time kind of settling into the ending. Of Granted, this is a kid's book, though. You do get an ending to it, and I guess it's satisfying. It's just kind of over.
Yeah, it was like, all this will change if you just kidnap her. Okay, and we're done.
It was entertaining, though, the whole thing. I can see this putting it in like a trade as like a one-off whatever. If you want to check it out, then go ahead. Overall, it's not crucial to the Adventure Time thing. I was enjoying these a little bit more than these Ghost ones from Adventure Time, but there have been way better issues in the past.
Agreed. The thing I liked most about this book was the art. I thought it was very unique. And some of the stories were really good. This one just kind of tries to tie everything in together and wrap it up in a short amount of pages. Probably could have used one more book in this series.
Next is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 34, written by Tom Waltz and Kevin Eastman with art by Matteo Santoloco. Metalhead makes his debut.
Yeah, he was so cool. I was like, fuck yeah, Metalhead. But the Angel Girl's like, I named him. And I'm like, no, Michelangelo did. I don't know who you are, lady. Don't really care about you. Get out of my book.
It's a nice little story. There's more on April and Casey's relationship, kind of on the ropes. They're going to break up. We're just waiting for that to happen. But here it's about the scientist that creates Metalhead, and it's a little comedic because Metalhead, of course, gets out of control and he starts going after the turtles, and they got to stop him. But it also advances the story a little bit because Leonardo and Shredder, I keep calling him Shredder, Splinter, keep having this disagreement. Like, should we go after the Shredder now because he's the greatest threat, or should we stop the Technodrome from coming because that's going to fuck up the future? And Splinter's like, go after Shredder right now, obviously because he just almost took out one of his kids. So he wants revenge.
Beyond that, Shredder wouldn't be expecting it right now, is what he's trying to argue. Like, get him when he's not expecting it. That's when we have the best chance of taking him down. But then, on the other side, yeah, if Krang shows up, like, you're fucked, that's it. What's it matter if you beat Shredder? Because world's done at that point.
And guess what? The new solicitation for the previews catalog shows the Krang shaking hands with Shredder.
Dun, dun, dun.
They done fucked up. Waited too long. Great issue, though. Not my pick of the week, but it was awesome.
Yeah, not my pick. Very good. Next, we have our Marvel book of the week, Miles Morales Ultimate Spider-Man number 2. This one's written by Brian Michael Bendis with art by David Marquez.
If you remember the last issue, Peter Parker made his return in the Ultimate Universe. We don't know what it is, but here they have a little bit of a fight. And then he's trying to figure out what Peter is. Is he a clone? He must be a clone. It's got to be a clone. He keeps saying that.
Clone.
And that's what I'm thinking too. I'm like, it's a fucking clone. Peter's dead. Like, there's no way. And he's kind of an asshole too, Peter Parker in this. I'm like, that's not Peter. Peter was kind of a pushover even in the Ultimate Universe. Miles Morales is trying to figure all this out. And also at the very end, he kind of decides to let his girlfriend in on his big secret, which is that he is Spider-Man. And as we all know with the Spider-Man mythos, as soon as you do that, she's probably going to be in trouble, possibly die, and he's going to learn that it's all a part of him being Spider-Man, and that's why I love this. He's way more interesting than Peter, in my opinion. I like Doc Ock a lot. He's gone now, though, but this is the Spider-Man that I'm more than happy to be following. And it was a great issue. I really liked it.
I agree. I think a lot of stuff's going to go down, especially if Peter Parker's a clone. Even if he's not, now you got Aunt May. Like, are they going to tell her? Is she going to freak out? Because she's old. Her heart's fragile now. You can't just be throwing these things around. You also have Mary Jane and Gwen. Are you going to tell them? You're going to get... Oh, what's her name? Peter Parker's other clone. The other Spider-Woman. Spider-Woman? I thought they called her something else. Anyway, Spider-Woman, they can't get a hold of her now. So what's going on? Is she have a sex change? Is she Peter Parker now?
I have no idea.
That's totally not what happened. But a lot of stuff's going to go down. I think you could jump on at this point, not really miss a lot.
I agree. Check out the issue for yourself. First Broquette that heads over to marvel.com/redeem. Enter the following code. Read it. Enjoy.
FMD19LG5XL92. We're
going to jump into our DC Comics for the week. We've got quite a number of them. First one is Batman 66 meets the Green Hornet number 1 of 6. It's written by Kevin Smith and Ralph Garman with art by Ty Templeton.
This one was so funny!
It was hilarious. And if you listen to the latest Fat Man on Batman, they do a read-along of the first issue with Ralph Garman and Kevin Smith. And they do all kinds of impressions. But you also see where Kevin Smith put in the dirty shit in this book. Even though it's like an all-ages thing. The main guy, he's like the glue guy, the glue man. He sprays glue at the Green Hornet and Batman to get them stuck on stuff. And as you're reading it, you're like, oh, that's kind of funny. But then you listen to the podcast and you're like, okay, so these are the parts where Kevin Smith was just, or Kevin's, yeah, where he was being a little pervy. Like,
That's too
he kept
funny.
saying, like, we got away with this and we got away with that. What'd you think of the issue? As I know you were excited about this because you grew up on a lot of the Batman 66 episodes.
I did. I used to watch a lot of Batman 66. I think I watched Green Hornet more than that, though. And
Interesting.
I don't remember much of Green Hornet. I just remember really liking it. So this was really cool for me. Very campy. I was laughing because Grayson's like, I'm going to go out with this girl. Like, you're not really interested in her. And you could totally tell he was not interested. He was just waiting for that phone call from Batman. And when Batman found out that he had to, like, go over someplace else to do something, and Robin's like, I'll go with you. Oh, but I gotta cancel my date. Oh, well, I guess she'll just have to accept some excuse. And Batman's like, nah, you're cool. I got this. He's like, oh.
It was awesome. The art by Ty Templeton is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
We love Ty. We got the commission cover from the Batman issue where I had him do the animated series. He used to do Batman Adventures back in the day for Ty Templeton. He used to write and draw a bunch of those himself.
Those were some of my favorite issues.
And they were good, yeah, exactly. The one with Ra's al Ghul is one of the most memorable for me. The Harley and Joker one was great. So we were thrilled when we got a commission from him. He did a Batman fighting Ra's al Ghul. Shirtless. And they have swords. Of course, that's what I'm going to get. And he's a phenomenal artist. We follow him on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, just go type in Ty Templeton. He pops right up. His Bunts tunes are hilarious. Check him out. About the comic itself, though, this is my pick of the week.
Oh. Not my pick of the week. But it was very, very good. Our next comic is Batman Eternal number 9. This is a weekly. It's written by Scott Snyder and James Tynion IV, with art by Guillaume March.
Last issue, you were talking about Catwoman. It wasn't Catwoman at the very end.
No, it's somebody.
But we do get Catwoman in this issue.
Mm-hmm. I think this is going to be my pick of the week.
Doesn't surprise me.
We had Catwoman. The thing I'm loving about this particular weekly is you're never lost. We skip a couple issues here and there. We were only picking up our favorite artist. But you're never lost. They catch you up completely on this is what happened without making it feel like
it's
a
deliberate.
word dump.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. They just
it's natural.
They work it seamlessly into the story, and it's great. This is leading up to a Catwoman issue next week. So excited. Can't wait. Love Batman. Love Catwoman. They're wonderful together.
It was a really good issue, and you mentioned it earlier. You can pick up any one of these, and the story wraps up in that issue while advancing the overall arc that they're building up to. Mm-hmm. And that's what's important about a weekly. That's what's going to make a weekly successful. The story has to be good, and then it's also got to be its own thing in case someone does miss out on an issue. Because a weekly, it's way easier to miss out on 8, 9, or 7, and then like pick up at number 15. You're like, oh shit, like I missed all of those. Don't worry, like read it, jump right in, and enjoy. We're picking up just the ones by Dustin Nguyen and Guillaume March, and like you mentioned, we're not lost. So great pick. It's a great pick of the week. It's not mine, but great book. Mm-hmm. Next single issue for the week, and actually our final single issue in the DC Comics, is going to be Teen Titans Return to the Treehouse number 1 of 6. It's written by Art Baltazar and Franco, with art by Art Baltazar.
It's great to see them doing stuff again. Their stuff is so cute and funny and easy to follow. I think it's good for kids or adults, and the same can be said about this book.
Yeah, it's the return of the Tiny Titans. If you remember, the series had ended after, I think it's their most successful series. It's got to be. Because it went on forever, really put the two on the map. And now they're coming back in a miniseries, which I hope is also extended into an ongoing. Kind of like their Itty Bitty Hellboy did recently. They're having a lot of success with this. But now they had that break with Superman Family Adventures, which I actually enjoyed way more than Tiny Titans. But some of those characters make an appearance here. It's all in the same exact universe. And I love that they took the time to establish that. Like the Super Kids are like, oh, we just had some family adventures. And I thought that was, little things like that are clever. And they're the nicest guys, too. If you follow them on Twitter, I listen to their All Yeah podcast, and they're a great couple of guys.
You just listen for the ooh.
Ooh. John Suntress does some amazing impressions. But the book itself is really funny. Brainiac and Lex Luthor shrink down the Tiny Titans headquarters, and they're all trying to kind of save the rest of the Titans that got trapped in there during this. It's a hilarious book. I definitely recommend it.
Alfred was great in it. really easy to follow. It was a quick read, but the art was adorable, and I do really like the Teen Titans, mostly from my fan fiction, but, whatevs.
For $2.99, you can't go wrong.
And we did pick up 2 trades this week. Our first one was Batman and Robin, the trade paperback, Volume 3, Death of the Family. This is written by Peter J. Tomasi and Scott Snyder, with art by Patrick Gleason and Mick Gray.
This is right before the death of Damian. This is during the, like the title says, death of the family. So this is everything leading up to that big arc by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, which one of the final issue is included in this. And then it also throws in the annual for Batman and Robin, which was amazing. It was a great setup for that eventual grieving process that we're going to get in the next trade, which is Volume 4. It is out now in hardcover, but not in softcover yet. It's probably going to be another 6 or 7 months before that happens. We've been picking them up in softcover. They're a little more affordable. This one is $14.99.
Not bad.
Not bad at all
Worth it.
for all the issues you get. And it's an amazing story. It's my second favorite DC comic that they're publishing. First one being Batman and Robin. So good, even now with Batman and Aquaman or Frankenstein and all these team-ups. Batman and Ra's al Ghul is coming up in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Catch up with these. All the trades, volumes 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you've got the extra dough and you want to read some great stories, that's the way to catch up. The other trade in the final book for this week on the Reasons I'm Broke podcast is Before Watchmen, Minutemen, and Silk Spectre. Writing and art by Darwin Cook and Amanda Connor.
I'm so happy because these were our 2 favorite books out of the Before Watchmen series. Fantastic stories, wonderful art. I cannot wait to reread these.
They could have easily split these 2 up, which I would say arguably were their 2 best stories. But since Darwin Cook did write both of them, they thankfully put it all in one book. So if you want to enjoy the 2 best Watchmen books, there they are. Let me see the price on this one. This one is $19.99.
Worth it.
Check out how thick that is.
Yeah.
It's a lot of story, especially the Before Watchmen. There's tons of dialogue, tons of action. And then the Amanda Connor one, an entire, many issues just with Amanda Connor, which we don't see a lot of anymore. She just does the Harley Quinn covers now. Enjoy her art. It's amazing. Enjoy these great stories. Anyone that was worried about this ruining the Watchmen story, be at ease, because these were phenomenal. They add to the mythos without changing anything that happened.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say that. You stole it from me. Dan stole it from me. But yes, I believe these books make the Watchmen story or movie much more personable for me, because now I know what those characters went through to get to where they were. So, does a wonderful job of adding to rather than ruining.
And that will do it for the podcast this week. As we mentioned earlier, we are a proud member of nerdupmedia.com. Head on over to nerdupmedia.com and check out the other great podcasts and videos, including Lazy Gaming Guys, The Read Pile, and Those Two Jerks.
The best way to get in contact with us and stay up to date with all the things we're doing and all the reasons we're broke is through Twitter. @ReasonsI'mBroke, #ReasonsI'mBroke. Just let us know what's going on in your life while you're broke. We'll nerd out with you.
Also on Facebook, facebook.com/TheReasonsI'mBroke. You can like us on there if you're not a Twitter user.
If you're listening to us through iTunes, please leave a rating, a comment, or a review. It helps other people find us. If you're not listening to us on iTunes, why aren't you? Get over there and leave us a rating.
It takes a couple minutes, it's free, and it helps us out a lot. If you enjoy the show, just leave us a short rating.
Dan, PR, takes a couple seconds.
But to find the link to all of these, just head on over to nerdupmedia.com, click on The Reasons I'm Broke, and you'll find the link to Stitcher, iTunes, Facebook, Twitter.
We're all
It's
over
all
the
on
place. We're like an STD or something. That was not good PR.
Bad, Kelly. We're also on Blueberry, which, some people use that too. We're up on there.
Okay, cool. As always, thank you guys so much for listening. We will be here for you next week with more wonderful comics and news and E3 news by that point.
Hell yeah.
Holy crap, that's going to be a long-ass podcast. Thank you guys so much. I'm Kelly.
I'm Daniel.
We'll see you next week.